All right. I call to order the Newman City Council regular meeting, April 26, 2022. City Council Chambers, 7 p.m., 938 Fresno Street. Let's go and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and stay standing for invocation. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me start by saying good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening is a great evening for us because we all come together and we look healthy. We're not wearing masks, and I think we've been pretty blessed for that. Please pray with me. God Almighty, this meeting this evening, Father God, give us the wisdom that it takes to come up with the right decisions that we make here for the city of Newman. I pray, Father God, that you would strengthen the city, give us all wisdom that we will make the right decisions for this city of Newman. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember McDonald?
Here.
Councilmember Ball?
Present.
Councilmember Pimentel?
Present.
Mayor Graham?
Present. Item number 5, declarations of conflicts. Are there any tonight? Seeing none. Item 6, ceremonial matters. There are none tonight. Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Anybody wanting to speak tonight? All right, we have nobody tonight. Item number 8, consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the April 12th, 2022 meeting.
I move that we
I'll second it.
First and a second, go ahead and vote. Did it go?
I don't think it went through.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Item number 9, public hearings. Item A, second reading and adoption of ordinance 2021, next number, an ordinance amending chapter 8.01, garbage and rubbish of Title 8, health and sanitation of the Newman Municipal Code to regulate the disposal of recyclables and organic materials and organize staff to publish a summary of said ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. The item before you is the second reading of the SB 1383, which is a code amendment to the garbage and rubbish Newman Municipal Code. This item is a state requirement. We've brought it to you for your consideration because the state requires us to have a mechanism in place to enforce organic recycling rules that the state had, that's in Senate Bill 1383. We are concurrently working, the city manager and finance manager are working on how that will affect the ratepayers and how that'll affect garbage collecting. It's basically a method of enforcing customers to the garbage routes that don't properly dispose of their organic waste in a new organic waste can, which would include brush, lawn clippings, any kind of food waste, anything, paper, organic paper, any organic material. And so I would ask that if any of you have further questions, this is a state requirement, and so I'm bringing it to you. And so we have Josh here in case you have questions on what, the last time we had a 3-2 vote, and our third yes vote is no longer here. So we may have a 2-2 vote, and that means it wouldn't pass. And so I really encourage you to ask Josh questions or Michael, the city manager, about what the repercussions could be if we don't pass it, and ask me any questions that if I can help further clarify this ordinance. And then we also need to conduct the public hearing.
Right. So just for clarification for the public, the way I understand it is this is California state law, and these are just our guidelines to follow their law. We don't have a choice but to follow their law, and these are our guidelines to fall within their requirements.
Yes.
All right.
So let me ask you this then. If that is the case, if we decide not to pass it, what are the consequences?
So it's my understanding that they're going to start looking at all the agencies that are not in compliance with the law. That's going to take some time because they're going to look at every agency in California. And Josh may expand on this when I'm done with my explanation or what I understand of it. When they determine that the city of Newman is out of compliance, they'll send us a letter of noncompliance and they'll give us a certain amount of time to correct that. And then if we don't correct it, then it'll ultimately, I believe, result in fines or, I don't know what the state's ultimate consequence would be. But I know we'll get a letter of noncompliance and then they'll just keep escalating it until we either comply or we decide, okay, we're just going to pay fines every year, or maybe Josh can expand.
No, it was,
Josh.
yeah. It was well said. You would get a notice of violation and an opportunity to cure, and at some point, based on the recent regulations, it would be a fine per day. And what I just saw was it could get up to $10,000 per day. But what this ordinance is really one of the first steps of the city to show CalRecycle, the state agency that's in charge of enforcing these new requirements, that the city has adopted these requirements and will now enforce it on the hauler. And CalRecycle is relying on the local agency to help enforce this new statute. So with this ordinance, it's part of the verification to CalRecycle that Newman has adopted this and will start enforcing these new requirements. So they need to see that the city has adopted this ordinance.
Right. And I think that this is going to wind up with the research that I found out is that this is going to wind up in court. You already have people rejecting it in Southern California, and basically they do not want it. They said that this basically, what I found out, and is that it's not about the garbage waste or the recycle. It's about something totally different from what they're putting to the public that this is supposed to be. So all I'm saying is that I'm going to vote no on it simply because I know it's going to wind up in the courts.
What's our grace period once that comes down?
So I go through several inspections every year with CalRecycle, and we've actually been, we do already have an organic recycling program in place for commercial and industrial businesses in town. And so now this is the final mechanism to, say a commercial business isn't throwing their cardboard in the right can. We can now, with this ordinance, I would be able to go over and say, look, I'm going to give you a warning. I'd send Roy, I need you to go check that garbage can. I think they're throwing their cardboard into the regular trash. They've got an organic bin. They need to throw it away in the proper bin. We'd give them a warning, and then it would end up with the fines that are identified in this ordinance. And so we already have the program, but we don't have any teeth. We can just go advise them. We have them fill out a survey. We try to talk to them and guide them, tell them why it's important, what the state's asking of us. And so I have several meetings every year with CalRecycle. They're mandated to make sure that I'm in compliance with everything CalRecycle asks us to do. I just had a state meeting. It's also about how much are we hauling out of here. We're trying to reduce waste. So they keep track of every ton of garbage that we haul out of here. They keep track of every ton of green waste, every ton of recyclables. They know exactly how much we're hauling out. We have to report it. We have a solid waste team through the county that I'm a member of, that we all get together every quarter and we talk about how we're managing all these systems. Our beverage container recycling program, we get a grant every year for that. And we spend that on making sure that recycled bottles and cans aren't ending up in the garbage stream, in the landfill. That's my understanding of what this Senate bill is all about. We're trying to reduce emissions at the landfill of greenhouse gases. And so that's what the state of California has they're assuming that this is going to help. They've determined that if we keep organic waste out of the landfill, it's actually going to help with greenhouse gas emissions. You know, whether that pans out or not, we will see when the scientists tell us if it worked or not. But this is what we're trying to do. So I just had a meeting with them last week, and I'm telling them, like, look, they're going to consider the ordinance. We've already introduced it. They're going to consider it at our second meeting in April. And I'll let you know how that goes. And there's other things that we have to do that he's asking me about, you know, like our public outreach, the third can that we're going to need, you know. And so if this doesn't pass tonight, I'll be making a call to him tomorrow, our Cal Recycle representative, and I'll tell him, okay, it didn't pass, so now what is our course of action? And so I don't know what's going to happen. I'll just explain to them. I'm not the authority that makes the decisions in Newman. I just try to enforce what they're telling me to do. So, you know, the state and you. And so, you know, I'll take what you guys decide tonight and I'll present that to Cal Recycle. And then you may get a letter before I do.
On the, these cans, excuse me, is this one size? I mean, I'd like it if you had different sizes and different prices, but, you know, everyone's going to get stuck with that big can that's going to cost you $11. I don't think that's right. Sorry.
May I?
Yeah.
So my criticisms are not any employees of the city or council. I'm really accustomed with unfunded mandates on counties.
Yes.
I hate it, always hated it. These unfunded mandates, however, directly impact our citizens. I do not trust the state of California. I do not trust their mandates. At this point, I will also oppose.
Excuse me.
Was that on purpose?
If we don't follow through with this, what's the grace period to come in compliance before we start getting fined? Like if they said, hey, here's a letter, you need to fall into compliance, what would that window be?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what the grace.
And Josh, do you know if there's any already lawsuits going on this?
I do not. I think every local agency is going through this at the moment and has a lot of the same questions, but
Right.
at the moment, the cities are an essential player to implement the requirements, and without them, it's hard
Right.
to do.
I agree with Councilman Ball on that this is an unfunded bill that is affecting our community, our low income, our elderly. We're adding another can to them. I'm just curious on what other cities are doing. I know if we vote no against it, it puts you in a bind, but I disagree with this, and we reached out to our representatives when this was going through, and clearly they didn't get the message because they ignored most cities that were against this.
So a lot of the, I don't know what the rural areas of counties are doing, but I know because of the group that I'm in, Stanislaus County, most of the agencies within the county have adopted the ordinance. We all share it with each other, you know, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then they're going with the 3-can system. Some of them, it depends on the hauler, because the hauler gets to dictate where he's taking it. And so so say for instance, one hauler can go to a facility that separates all of it. So then you just put everything in there, and then it's on the hauler to be able to separate it and then meet compliance for the organics. They're going through the garbage. I don't know if there's a cost difference. I don't know. Some of the cities are going with 3 cans, so they're going to their haulers that exist, and they're saying, how much is it going to cost me to add another can? I don't know. I know Michael and Lou were having discussions about sizes of cans and what our hauler is capable of, because we have a hauler that we use here. And so it's very convoluted. There's a lot of moving parts to all of it. And I personally have told the state, this is an unfunded mandate and you're costing my residents money. And, what are we going to do about that? And they don't care. Cal Recycle doesn't care. They're just doing their job, and they're just trying to enforce this, and they're helping us guide us. They're helping guide us through this process. And so I don't know where it'll all end up, but
I believe they got plenty of money from the feds for green.
Mayor, may I ask Josh a quick question? So Josh, if the council decides to either table this or it goes 2-2 and it doesn't pass, how long do they have to wait before they can reconsider it? Meaning if the state in 6 months from now or a year from now starts writing these notice of violation letters to us and gives the council time to reconsider the adoption of that ordinance, is there a point in time that we have to wait if it doesn't pass? This ordinance, can they just, take it up later? I mean, I think that's a question that's relevant to this discussion is how long would they have to wait to reconsider this as a council? Or, and the other option would be is I guess they could table it for now after this, reconvene a second reading and a public hearing later. If we decide, we get a notice of violation or something like that, that would allow them some time there to see what's being played out throughout the state, I guess.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a restriction on how soon you could bring it back to consider. It would become a process of Newman and Cal Recycle.
Okay.
And once you receive that notice of violation and seeing how the state agency proceeds, it would be a headache to vote no and start and be in the process with Cal Recycle and see how they start to enforce their notices of violation. But that's the test. And it's hard to predict, but
So since this ordinance has already, by a vote of 3-2, been introduced, is there a limitation on the amount of time the council has before they could reconsider this and do a second reading and adoption? Meaning, could they table this indefinitely, then have a public hearing later if we get a notice of violation and then be in the process of then taking action later? I don't know if we can, is there a timetable on how long they could potentially table this?
I don't have a specific answer on the timetable of how long it would be, but if the council's vote is no to table, we can look into it and see if there's a time limit on when it could be brought back, but I would have to get back to you on that, but if Kathleen's talking to Cal Recycle tomorrow, there might be answers that come sooner than later.
So I guess that would be another option I'd just like to present to the council. I mean, hearing what you're saying and your concern for our residents, obviously staff's concern is obviously to comply with state mandates, but, if there is potential for lawsuits to happen, that could table things. If you'd like, you can, table this one now. We can always notice a public hearing for later. I mean, you could take public comment now. I would encourage you to take comment now, and then after the public comment, then if you choose to do so, you could table this matter till a future date. We could republish for a public hearing, hold another public hearing, and do your second reading later. Subsequent to this meeting, I would have conferences with Josh and Nubia. And then if there's any other timeline, we would bring that back to you and say, okay, you table this, but you now have only X number of weeks, months, or whatever to bring it back forward,
So let me ask you
another
this
item
then.
for you.
What's the chance of you're our representative in terms of going into courts and legal things? What is the possibility of you looking as the attorney, looking into the possibility of putting this into court? Into a legal thing? Because from what I'm hearing here, we don't agree with that. And we don't want it in the city of Newman because it's going to affect people that are on fixed income. Our senior citizens are going to be hurt, and we need to basically either have something done to where they're taken care of, or either let's put it in the court. Because I'm telling you right now, Southern California has already said no. And they're going to take it into court. And we should follow their suit in terms of that, making sure that we're not banged up for something that the voters didn't have a chance to vote on.
So I would venture it out there again. I'm not an attorney, but CEQA would probably be the best course of avenue forward. Did they do proper CEQA analysis on this? They have to do an economic analysis and what the impact's going to be on the residents. That's what happened to the water one. What was it? Chromium 6. They didn't do the proper CEQA analysis and the proper economic analysis on there. And they're trying to say this is for greenhouse gases, in the landfills. But then you can argue, okay, what does it take to run an extra garbage truck 50 hours a week in Newman picking up all these ones? So what kind of greenhouse gases is generated from the garbage truck? Is that going to trump what we're saving by having the green waste? So I think if there was going to be a lawsuit, I think that would probably be the course of avenue. I don't know that Newman has the wherewithal to move that forward ourselves, but we can look into that, Councilman McDonald, and see is there some rumblings going on throughout the state and other cities, and is that something that they're looking at in terms of a legal challenge to this? I can talk with legal counsel from the county. I know our legal counsel works for multiple cities and has, they're up in Sacramento, so they can hear some of that too. So again, if that's something you want us to explore, you could do the public hearing tonight, continue it to our next meeting. I would say give us 30 days, continue it to the second meeting in May. That gives us 30 days to kind of report back to you on what some of the stuff that you're hearing. And leaves it still open. Come back in May, you could still have an opportunity to take action either for or against the ordinance at that second meeting in May. So again, you could continue this public hearing to a date certain. And again, that date certain would be May 24th is what I would recommend. So that's another option for you.
Sounds good to me.
Can I make a motion?
Well, we got to open it up to the public
Oh,
first. Let's
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah,
and do
let's
that.
open it up to the public now and see if anyone's here to talk about it, then continue it to a date certain.
All right, we're going to open this up to the public for anybody that would like to speak on the matter. All right, now I'll bring it back to council for action.
Okay. I move with regard to Resolution 2022, I'm sorry, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2021, an ordinance amending Chapter 8.01 Garbage and Rubbish of Title 8 Health and Sanitation of the Newman Municipal Code to regulate the disposable of recyclable and organic materials and authorize staff to publish a said ordinance. I move that we move this item.
Yeah,
May
continue the
24th.
public hearing.
Continue the public
to
hearing.
Date certain, May 24th.
To May 24th, 2022.
Got first, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, go and vote. All right. That'll be tabled to May 24th. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Item number 10, regular business. A, adopt resolution 2022. Next number, a resolution initiating proceedings for a levy and collection of assessments for the lighting and landscape maintenance district for the fiscal year 2022, 2023, and ordering the preparation of the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take this one too. It's my show tonight.
Good night.
We'll do something fun next. The lighting and landscape districts in the city of Newman are a total, there's 15 of them. Every year, we go through a process and public hearings and presentations of an engineer's report to see what it'll cost to take care of storm, parks, sidewalks, trees in the different zones, in the different landscape zones. And we do that because we assess all the property owners in each one of those zones for funds on their property taxes to be able to have funds in our budget to be able to pay for that maintenance and those costs. This is the first resolution of 4 that you'll be seeing over the course of the next couple of months. The first one basically initiates the proceedings, and you authorize NBS, who we contract with, to do our engineers' reports and prepare the assessment. You're just authorizing them to get started. They'll do the engineer's report. They'll look at our budgets. They'll look at what we're taking care of, which nothing's changed this year that we're taking care of. So it'll be kind of the same thing. They look at the CPI index. And then that'll be presented to you at the next meeting, and then we'll have a public hearing, and then we'll adopt it finally on the 4th resolution. And so I'll take any questions if you have them.
Questions? Any public comment? Not seeing any. I'll bring it back to the council for action.
I'll move to adopt the resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman, California, inundating proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments for the Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District for fiscal year 2022 to 2023, and order the preparation of the engineer's report.
First, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
First and a second, go ahead and vote. All right. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 10B, approve agreement with RRM Design Group to provide planning and architectural services for the downtown plaza, final phase, and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city of Newman.
So I told you we'd do something fun next. So, you have all been a part of the discussion. Staff has been discussing what to do with the grassy area at the plaza, as well as incorporating the McBride building in. And we have worked with RRM Design Group on multiple projects. They're the ones that actually designed the original plaza. They did our highway-specific plan. They've done a lot of community outreach for us and different things. So I called them, and Michael and I talked with them and told them kind of what we wanted in the grassy area, which is basically look at a veterans memorial, and then kind of fulfill the entire plaza area potential, which is a more accessible access to utilize the grass area, incorporating a future business and jobs assistance center. That's the McBride building, what it's designated for. Where to put the Christmas tree. We always put the Christmas tree out there on a big plate, so we want to see if we can get a path through there. So I have lots of ideas, Michael has ideas, you guys have ideas. And so what we want to do with this proposal is bring the community in and get their ideas. See what they're thinking would be great out there. And with that, RRM would come in with this proposal, and they would do some community workshops, come out and go to the farmer's market, and try to get feedback from the community on what they want to see happen out there. And then they'll, in their design wisdom, put together some preferred plans, preferred concepts, incorporating all of our ideas, and then present that so you guys can make a decision. And what we'll end up with is a plan that will be for the future for, if I'm not here, or Michael's not here, or some of you aren't here, people can look at that document and say, oh, this is what they were thinking, and the community wanted this and liked it. And so, because we may have to fund it piece by piece. I'm going to try to get it all funded, but you know how that goes. Sometimes you can't get those funds right away. We do have budget to pay for this proposal, which is $50,561. It's a lot higher, but we scoped it back to really what we need, which is the meat of the project. And we're going to pay for this with existing funds out of the Downtown Plaza funds, and we have a Veterans Memorial Fund. So Michael's been setting that money aside to be able to do something like this. And I'll take any questions. I'm sure Michael will as well.
So if we need any money, we can go straight to Lou, right?
Well, he's kind of stingy sometimes because he's trying to keep the whole city running.
I was
A
just
lot of
kidding.
things he has to pay for.
But and I think the last time we spoke of this, we talked about a possibility of getting the feedback from the community. And I thought we were looking in terms of maybe putting together some veterans from the city of Newman. Our mayor is a veteran, and there's tons of veterans in the city of Newman that we need to have their input.
So one of the parts of this scope is getting stakeholders in.
Yes.
We have a back-to-school event on the site. We have Christmas tree lightings. We have a lot of vendors that visit the site multiple times per year selling things. We have the community as a whole, and then we have the Veterans Memorial where we want to bring in the VFW, the American Legion, just veterans that reside in the community. And so that's what this is all about, is bringing all those groups together so we can get their feedback and get their input. I mean, it's pretty exciting because it's a clean slate to say, what kind of memorial do we want? I always look at war memorials. My husband's a Marine. And so I always go and look at them all. I worked at the National Cemetery for years, so I have a soft spot for them. So I always look at them, I take pictures, I show Michael. Michael sends me pictures of them, because and so now it's the time we get to pick what we're gonna put here. And so the residents and the veterans that reside here, they all get to have a say-so. So it'll be a good proposal. I hope you guys all come, and participate, and there'll be some webinar meetings like we did for the nature park out there and the Highway Specific Plan. They're really good at that, so I think they'll be a good fit.
Well, and Councilmember, I know you're interested, but there'll be a concerted effort to identify stakeholder groups, and as you identify the veterans groups and some of the key holders there, and make sure that they get personal invites and letting them know when and where we're going to be soliciting for comments and information. So there will be a really strong public outreach as part of this. We're not just going to pop up a tent and people didn't know it was going to be there that week. We're going to let people know, hey, on this particular farmers market day, this group's going to be here taking comments and getting some of that stuff in. And we'll do that in the public newspaper, and then we'll let people know. So there's going to be a strong public outreach component to this process.
Yeah, and that's very important, and I think that's great that we do that, because veterans, sometimes we overlook them, but I think that we should cherish, our veterans, because they put themselves on the front line. And even those ones that are out there that are sick, and now I'm getting kind of cheery-eyed, when I talk about them, but the ones that need help, and that we need to recognize, and really, give them, their due. And I think that if we're going to put a memorial up, I think it's important that these people, men and women that have served for this country, that we recognize them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Agreed. Any other questions? I'll open it up to the public. Any comments from the public? Not seeing any. We'll bring it back to the council for action.
Okay, I move to approve agreement with RRM Design Group to provide planning and architectural services for the Downtown Plaza final phase, and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city of Newman.
First?
I'll second.
All right. First and a second, go and vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 10C, selection of mayor pro tem and committee assignments.
Thank you, Mayor. As you're aware, we have a vacancy on the council due to the resignation of Nicholas Candia. Well, Nick sat on a couple committees and also was the role of mayor pro tem. So as staff, we're recommending that the council consider an appointment of an existing member to serve as a mayor pro tem, as well as be a representative as STANCOG, EDAC, which is the Economic Development Action Committee, the West Side Healthcare Task Force, and then he was also the alternate at the League of California Cities Executive Committee.
Okay. So with that, we'll be looking for a nomination for somebody, obviously, other than me, to fill that spot.
I would like to appoint or nominate Scott Ball. I think he's the right guy for the job.
Right. And I know that we basically try to go by seniority, but I think that at this point, Scott has showed himself, and I think that you would fit, in this seat, perfectly for this time. So I would agree with Councilman.
We got first, that you're second.
I'll second it.
All right, go and vote.
Do I abstain or recuse?
You recuse.
Recuse, okay.
Motion carries 3-0. You're the new pro tem. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, and then Mayor, and the
And
last
now-
one is, I don't know if we need to do a formal vote or not on the last one, because
Right.
that's one of just these committees that we talked about. But I can, if anyone's interested, we can also talk about what day they meet and what time they meet and I have that information if you're interested.
Yeah, let's go ahead and address those right now, because Stan Cog, I took over for Nick, and I can remain as primary,
Okay.
but I do definitely need a second.
Yeah, so StanCog, for those who don't know, is Stanislaus Council of Governments. They're a regional transportation planning agency. They're represented by members on the Board of Supervisors and members from each of the respective city councils. They meet on the second Wednesday in the evening at 7 p.m. It's an important committee because tens of millions of dollars flow through that committee every year. And so it's important that we have a representative there that, understands and can make those meetings, because you want to make sure that you're in line to receive some of that. And, the plaza was one of those projects that, because we were there well represented, we were able to get funding for that plaza, so.
I said I took over primary for Nick. I've taken over the last couple of months. I'm more than happy to keep it unless somebody wants it as primary. And then I'll go back.
Don was raising his hand over
Yeah,
there.
if he wants to keep it, he can keep it. What's the next one?
Well, that would be the alternate. We need an
We need
alternate.
I'll be an alternate.
There we go.
Okay.
That brings up Economic Development Action Committee, EDAC.
So EDAC, again, EDAC is an Economic Development Action Committee. They really put together what's called a SES plan, this County-wide Economic Strategy Plan. They generally meet about 4 times a year, which is quarterly. They meet on Thursdays at 4 p.m. in downtown Modesto.
That is when Thursdays, you said?
Yeah, but they generally would let you know about once a quarter.
Do they pay for parking?
All that stuff is reimbursed through the city.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that one.
All right.
That's an afternoon in Modesto. I'd like that.
All of your expenses and stuff is, John.
Keep my receipts. I got you.
Thank you, John. That brings
So-
us to West Side Healthcare.
I'm
Okay.
currently on that one. Now that I'm going to be completely retired from the school district, I will be able to attend every meeting. I've failed to attend a few from time to time. So I guess we just need one other person who's concerned about getting a hospital on the west side.
I'll agree.
You the right man?
Second.
You the right man? Okay, all
All
right.
right. McDonald as alternate. And League of Cities.
Oh, look for me, okay. Again, so the League of California Cities, as you know, it's a statewide organization that talks policy, state policy, and looks at what bills are coming through California, and they inform you on that. We have a division that represents Merced, Stanislaus, and San Joaquin County. Generally, they come together for meetings to talk about things that are going on. It's also a social type of event as well. Generally, there's dinner served at those events as well. So let's see, what day do they meet? Second Thursday in the evenings at different locations, because different cities host. So it can be anywhere from basically Stockton down into Merced County.
All right.
Well, that counts me out since I already got.
I'm due for one, so I'll take that one.
All right. Well, thank you guys for volunteering for those. That covers that. Anything else on that, Michael?
I think that was it.
All right.
Or EDAC, yep. Yep.
All right. I'll bring you back to item number 11, items from District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor. Condit, welcome. Good evening.
Right. And on that yacht.
Happy to be here with United Mayor and Council. Always great to be in Newman. I do have just a couple items to report on. The Hills Ferry Road issue that we've been dealing with since I took office a little over a year ago. We are finally entering the abatement process, which is a great step forward. Now, that process could take several months, but we are headed in the right direction on trying to get those containers out and that nuisance dealt with, and then the property owners will also have been notified and then possibly cited as they are going through that process. So I will keep you abreast on any developments concerning that. Also pleased to also further report on our tax sharing agreement. We are moving forward with that to the best of our abilities. I know your city manager has been in contact with our CEO's office regarding those negotiations as well. We are trying to get that settled before July so that that can take effect, and that will have huge dividends for the city general fund. Potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars and even maybe millions one day. And that will be put towards more adequate services here for our city residents, and it'd just be great for all of our cities in the county. So that's going to just be wonderful for current and future developments taking place in the city of Newman. So outside of that, happy to author a couple support letters for grants for the city of Newman moving forward with their parks project. So I'm very happy to support our local parks here. I'm looking forward to a movie night in the city of Newman. Look forward to attending those, as well as the farmers market coming up. But I'm more than happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Questions? I'd like to thank you. You seem to come in and start fighting for our city with the taxes, the tax sharing, and you're quick to respond. I know Hills Ferry took some time, but thank you for your work on that. We appreciate that. It's important. So thank you for all your hard work for us.
Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Item number 12, items from city manager and staff. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. And Supervisor Condo was correct. We have a draft property tax sharing agreement that I've been working with our legal counsel as well as the city manager from Oakdale. We've done our review. We've finalized it off, and now I believe it's going over to the county CEO in any day now. If it didn't happen yesterday or today, it's probably happening tomorrow. Unfortunately, we have one city is probably taking their own little course. But that'll be up to them. It sounds like the rest of the cities are on board. A big kudos to our supervisor and Mr. Fowler. They do an excellent job of keeping us in loop and getting us support letters. They're doing a great job on that. And without the support of Supervisor Condit, we wouldn't be where we're at with this property tax agreement. And he's correct. There'll be a small incremental growth as we go on and we get larger and larger and add more and more properties and development here, but those are going to pay dividends in the long run in your general fund, and the city residents are going to see the benefit by having enhanced services out there. And that means we could potentially be hiring more police officers, more firefighters, more recreational programs, all these things that make us a great community. So again, I want to thank Supervisor Condit on that. You'll be seeing some activity on Prince Road here shortly. They're going to be moving forward with that residential development there. I would suspect within the next week, you'll probably see some dirt moving out there. So that just shows that there's a lot of interest. As you know, we have there really are no finished lots in town right now to build new residential units in town. That'll be the first one, and then we have a couple other ones that are in the tow right now. We've got a CEQA analysis going on for another project on Prince Road, and then we have another large project that we're moving forward with. So, and then we had good news. I know Catherine's really excited about it. We finally got our contract to do our $6.5 million news project. That's the constructed wetlands project, which means they finally gave us the contracts on Friday. I signed them yesterday. We FedExed them over today. So that's really moving forward. We have one last little component. And I think there's a 30-day period that's already in the process, about the middle of May, looking to get our permits from the state regarding wetlands. And after that, we're going to be going out to bid probably June, award that bid in July, and really getting things moving over there. So that's going to be a great project long-term for our community, not only from a storm drainage perspective, but nobody else in the Central Valley is even doing any kind of projects like this. Constructive wetlands, it's going to be out there. I mean, we're going to have kids out there. There's trails and stuff that's going to go on out there. It's going to really be a beautiful amenity to our community over the next several decades. So, and don't forget, we also have a partnership with UC Merced, who wants to build an outdoor laboratory, environmental engineering laboratory out there as well. So, and that project is actually starting to gain a little bit of traction as well. So, we're very excited about that. Supervisor Condit, the letters that he was referring to, Catherine did one and I did the other. We did an appropriations request from Congressman Harder. She was asking for about $3.5 million to do the nature park. And then I put in a second request for $2 million to do a jobs and business center, which would be, we would tear down the McBride building and build a new business and jobs assistance center to go there. And then that would play into the final phase of the downtown plaza. So have a nice new beautiful building there, meeting rooms where businesses can get training. We have Opportunity Stanislaus, who does job training and business training. They have already indicated, wrote a letter of support saying that they would come out here and provide services to our local businesses as well as to our residents as well. That would help them get trained up so they can maybe search out some higher paying jobs for themselves. So with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
I have a quick question. Once on the project, the wetland project, once groundbreaking start on that, how long is the process on that project? What is it, a year?
Yeah, construction will last, I think, about 10 months, and then we have, part of the grant pays for ongoing monitoring. We had a secondary, smaller grant that will do ongoing monitoring to see what our treatment's doing to the water quality out there, because that does discharge into the Miller Ditch, which discharges into the Newman spillway, which goes out to the San Joaquin River. So our goal is to take that water through our constructed wetland, treat it, educate the community. We're going to have field trips out there. There's going to be some nice signage, collect all the trash, debris, silt, and then it'll go back into the ditch and then go out to end up in the river. So we should have better water quality in the river.
So we're talking maybe about a year for that
Yeah.
project?
Yes.
But you gotta remember, there's multiple phases to it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's not for the park portion of it, correct?
Still trying to get funding for that.
Right. So, any other questions?
Yeah, we have funding for 2 phases of that. We
Okay.
still have 2 phases to go.
And there's 3 total?
Yeah, and 4 total, because UC Merced would be
Yeah,
so.
okay.
So, with that being said, Councilman McDonald, construction will also be weather dependent.
Right.
So, we can't really move heavy equipment in that soil.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things we need to do before the rain comes. So,
That's it. Any other questions? Thank you guys for your hard work on that.
You're welcome.
Exciting project going for our community. All right. I don't see Ally tonight. Do you have anything on the farmer's market
it's just still on schedule.
on schedule? Okay. And that's on social media and all that? Lieutenant Short, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I have nothing to share on behalf of the police department tonight, but can answer any questions that you may have.
I just mentioned to Chief Keith, I was kind of worried about the truck that tipped over on Hills Ferry. And I was, praying for the guy. I hope that he's doing all right.
I believe he was fine, and they got that truck out there sometime around midnight or so, somewhere right in there.
Great. Thank God.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Lou?
Just want to let you know the treasurer's report for the month of March is in your inboxes for your review, or if you happen to have a night where you can't sleep, it'll work very well. Staff has also, for the last couple of months, been working on the budget, and we're looking forward to presenting that to you within the next 3 meetings coming up. And other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Well, the only thing I would say is that if you leave, then I know I won't be able to sleep.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou.
Yeah.
Catherine, any more tonight?
What the heck? I just wanted to invite everyone over to Pioneer Park on Friday, this Friday, from 3:30 to 4:30. We're going to do a collaborative Arbor Day event with after-school program. We're going to plant a couple trees, do a little education on why trees are good for the community, water conservation, stormwater protection. So the school is barbecue and hot dogs. So if you would like to come out, swing by. You're always welcome. I'll give you a sticker. Also, we're hiring 2 office assistants, one for Public Works, which will help in with building permits, and then Public Works general office, and then one for Keith. He can go into that more. And so if you know anybody that is looking for a part-time position, please have them come down to City Hall and get an application or go on the website. We've got a lot of projects coming in. We're doing some work out on Kern right now. We're getting new storm drain lines. I had to do a little bit of a change, but that's happening. And then they're gonna plane that road and then do an overlay. And so we'll have a nice new Kern. They'll stripe it. Arco's going. They're doing the dirt work right now. There's rumors that it should be done by October, so that'll be good.
That's right.
There's some on-site work and off-site work for stormwater and sewer and water. We're gonna be starting the Canal School underground utility project soon. You did award that at the last meeting, so we're just getting contracts ready, and they'll be out there starting that work soon. We hope to have that done before we start the news project. And then in somehow in there, I'm gonna get in paving that road, because we do have funds to pave Canal School, so that's exciting. And that's all I have, but I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
On the Canal School, that's only so far, right? You're not going to do the whole thing all the way to Merced County? How does that work?
So we are going to pave from Hills Ferry down Canal School all the way to the county line, which is right past Inyo.
Gotcha.
And
Okay,
then we'll go down Inyo and go on to the end of those empty lots to Saputo.
gotcha.
So that's what and
Very
we
good.
expanded that project and was able to get additional funding through Stancog. So that's why Stancog is so important, because they give us our transportation money.
Very good.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Chief Bowen?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just a few things. The flag mailbox is up. It's installed, ready to go. So anyone that's looking to retire a U.S. flag, they can drop it in the mailbox there, and then we'll work with the Legion to get that taken out of there, so if they get full. The training went well that we participated in. It was a multi-agency training with PD and ambulance. It went really well. We were able to learn a lot of new techniques and get a better understanding of how to respond in tragic situations. So that was fun. It was an all-day event out there. So I want to thank PD for the invite. We got an op area council meeting next week. One of the things on the agenda is the extreme cold and freeze plan. When I looked through it, it looks pretty similar to what we've been seeing in the past. So that will make its way to the disaster council eventually, which I think Councilmember Ball's on. And then next week I'll be out of the office for training in the beginning of the week, and then I'll be on vacation. I can answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Chief. Council?
I drove around town today and I noticed at the school, it looks like they're building a pool and tennis courts now. It looks like they broke ground over there. So I was just cruising around and I looked at the project. Yeah, I don't think it would take that long for the AM, PM, not, maybe 3-4 months, because they throw those things up pretty quick. So other than that, I'm glad that Newman's safe and sound, our fire department, police department taking care of business, and I thank you much. That'll do it.
Councilman McDonald?
I have nothing to say, but God bless you all.
Pro Tem Ball?
Ditto.
All right, well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. And with that, I'll ask for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Got first, do we have a second?
Second it.
All right, everybody vote.
Have a nice evening.
Motion carries 4-0. Have a good night, guys. Thank